views and get where he thinks we're going in the future. And, of course, you can also link through and go to his website, trendsresearch.com. Gerald Celente, thanks for coming on.
Hey, Alex, thank you for having me.
You bet. We got 3 minutes before we break, but just lay out in the first 3 minutes a little bit about yourself and what trend research is.
Well, current events form future trends. So we look at the major social, economic, political, geopolitical, environmental, consumer. We look at over 300 different categories on a daily basis worldwide, looking for those major trends that are shaping the future. For example, the current event today that everyone should know about is that what Citigroup announced they're firing 50,000 people. I mean, and they're not going to make those jobs up in the Circuit City or Starbucks. So we look at this data and we analyze it, but we do so as political atheists. We're not. Both of these parties, we have nothing to do with them, and so we look at events for what they are and not the way we want them to be. And that's what really stops a lot of people from seeing the future. The other thing is when you look at economic forecasts, political forecasts, they do it one-dimensionally. They don't look at all the other interlocking fields.
Yes.
So that's what we do differently than most others. The system that we have, we call globalnomic. It means including the entire world, from the word globus and nemine, to manage, because trends can be managed. You can see what's happening and then take the measures necessary to protect yourself or to profit from what the future may bring.
Absolutely. When we come back, I want to get into the fact that the NSA uses its snooping system not so much to even, quote, spy on the individual, but to see major trends and try to get ahead of it, to control it, and to give that info to select inter-group corporations. The government, the big corporations, they know what you and I know, Gerald, and what you're so good at. They just don't like advertising real systems to the public.
Well, yes and no, because we've worked with a number of the major corporations, and that's our business. And I have to tell you, there are corporations like Ford, for example. They came to visit us in the 90s, and we thought we were talking to dead people. And we said, why waste our time working with these people when we know that what we give them is not going to be implemented? So, we assume that they know. But from our experience, Alex, most of them are well behind the curve. Examples, look at the major corporations today and how they're suffering at so many different levels.
We're going to talk about that when we get back, and we're going to discuss the key, what you just said. People look at the world the way they want to see it. Ladies and gentlemen, that is delusion. That is a fraud. Don't you want to really know how the world works? Don't you really want to count instead of having your thoughts fed to you? Gerald Celente is our guest. We'll be right back after this quick break.
Hello, this is Steve Shank. The economic disaster is taking food out of the mouths of our families. Farmers, food brokers, and grocery stores can't get credit to supply your food. Over a third of us can't afford to buy food and pay our other expenses. Lines of credit and cards are often cut back or canceled. Last year, the eFoods Direct Holiday Food Unit was a fun and exciting one-year supply with a great price. This year, to quickly complete our food supply preparations, eFoods Direct has created a very serious holiday unit. This super supply costs $300 less than the basic Liberty one-year supply and has more food. Safe food for less than half the cost of last year's groceries. For delivery by Christmas, orders must be submitted by the end of November. Good food is a gift of life and love this holiday season. Call 800-409-5633 on the web, efoodsdirect.com, 800-409-5633.
A day unlike any other in the long course of American history, a terrorist act of war against this country.
The enemy struck America on September 11th. But who is the enemy?
Bin Laden. This is his MO.
We have to look to the Middle East. We have to look to Osama bin Laden.
Fabled Enemies is the first 9/11 film to take a close look at the terrorist ties to intelligence networks inside the United States.
Some U.S. investigators believe that there are Israelis again very much engaged in spying in and on the U.S.
I'm aware that some Israeli citizens have been detained.
Bin Laden's connections to the CIA, the hijackers' ties to the FBI, the Saudi Arabian connection, the Israeli intelligence network, warnings and war games, the shadow government, and much, much more. Fabled Enemies. Get the DVD at Infowars.com or see it in super high quality, along with hundreds of other titles at PrisonPlanet.tv.
Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.
With Christmas right around the corner and an unstable economy looming, finding the right gift can be tough. Why not give the gift of an Excalibur dehydrator? The Excalibur dehydrator is not only economical, but also fun for the whole family. Save hundreds of dollars by drying your own fruits, vegetables, and meats. Make your own healthy snacks or start storing your own healthy food in case of emergencies, all with no added salts, fats, and preservatives. What a perfect gift for the health-conscious person in your family, or for a friend who vows to eat healthier this coming year, even if that friend is you. For a limited time, receive the book Preserve It Naturally, filled with amazing, easy recipes. A $25 value free with your order. Just call 1-800-875-4254. That's 1-800-875-4254. Or go to drying123.com. That's DRYING123.com. Excalibur Dehydrator wishes you and yours health and wellness for the new year.
The Genesis Communications Radio Network proudly presents The Alex Jones Show, because there's a war on for your mind.
There's not a better trend forecaster than Gerald Celente. The man knows what he's talking about, CNBC. Gerald Celente has a knack for getting the zeitgeist right. USA Today, The Economist magazine wrote that he has a network of 25 experts whose range of specialties would rival many university faculties. When CNN wants to know about top trends, we ask Gerald Celente. It goes on and on. And Gerald, I want to get into how you integrate all these different sectors of the economy, the society, how you come up with your trends that have turned out to be so accurate. But before we do that, perhaps we should get the listeners who don't know who you are to learn a little bit about Gerald Celente, how you got into this particular field and became a leader in it, or the leader in it, and basically some of the predictions that you've made that have been so accurate, and where you see us going, fleshing out the discussions that you've had about basically complete breakdown of society and martial law type scenarios.
Well, the way I began my career, after graduate school, I managed the mayoral campaign for the fellow running for office in Yonkers, New York, and it was 1971. And from there, they sent me up to Albany. I did such a great job, and I was the assistant to the Secretary of the New York State Senate, which, by the way, was the worst job I ever had. You know, it's a disgusting spectacle to see grown men grovel, particularly from a kid that was grown up in the Bronx. And, when you'd watch all these people, I'd be talking to a buddy, we'd be in the chambers, in the Senate chambers, and a senator would walk in. My buddy would leave me to go help the senator sit down, pull his chair out, So when my friend would come back, I'd say, "What's the matter? The guy can't sit down on his own. He needs some help." So that was I got to see the insides of government. From there, I went to St. John's University, and I taught probably one of the nation's first courses in American politics and campaign technology in 1972. From there, I went to Chicago, and I was a government affairs specialist, working for segments of the chemical industry and other parts of the industry, and between Washington and Chicago. As a matter of fact, I was in D.C. When the first energy crisis hit in 1973. Jimmy Carter later becomes president, and the Iranian conflict breaks out. And I had been following this thing for years, Alex. I knew how the CIA overthrew the democratically elected government of Iran and Mossadegh and how the Savak, the secret police of the Shah, was only second to the SS. It was a brutal regime. When the revolution started to happen in Iran, I knew it was real because I knew of the pent-up hatred that they had against this guy. Jimmy Carter goes to spend New Year's Eve with the Shah and his wife, and he and Rosalind. And in those days when the president came back from overseas, it was a big deal. He walks up to the microphones after walking out of the helicopter on the White House lawn. And Jimmy Carter announced to the American people that the Shah was the island of stability in the Middle East. At that moment, I became a political atheist. I'd been around long enough. I knew the game. And then the second thing that hit me was, what will be the implications of what's going on? And I realized that gold and oil prices would increase. So I started to speculate in both those fields. And I was only a kid. I was in my early 30s, you know, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But I did know enough that I knew that the American public was getting one story, and then there was a whole other story on the international scene. I made enough money from that where I quit my job, and that's when I began the Trends Research Institute in 1980, always under the understanding that current events form future trends, but if I look at them, as you said going into the break, without looking at them the way I want them to be, the way I wish them or hope them to be, and just the way they are, and let the data speak for itself, then you can see a clear direction of where the future is heading. And you know, it's like going to a doctor. You get a diagnosis. You don't call the doctor an SOB if you don't like his economic or political diagnosis. You accept it for what it is and work from that parameter. And that's what we do. We see the trends the way they're laying out in front of us, where they're going to go, and then we work around that direction, not trying to redirect it in our minds so that we hope for something different.
Well, now specifically, because we have limited time with you, I can talk to you for 10 hours. You've got so much information. Briefly, I know you don't like to brag, but no brag, just fact, as John Wayne would say. Break down some of the predictions and trends, the projections that you've made that have unfortunately come true. And I say unfortunately because your analysis is pretty much identical to mine and many other experts I'm interviewing about, on the good side, total depression, breakdown of society, police state. On the bad side, Road Warrior, Mad Max, 10,000 BC, just lawless third world.